The Perks of Being a Wallflower, PDF version, pages 26 through 32. Part 2, November 7th, 1991. Dear friend, it was one of those days that I didn't mind going to school because the weather was so pretty. The sky was overcast with clouds and the air felt like a warm bath. I don't think I ever felt that clean before. When I got home, I had to mow the lawn for my allowance, and I didn't mind one bit. I just listened to the music and breathed in the day and remembered things. Things like walking around the neighborhood and looking at houses and the lawns and the colorful trees, having that be enough. I don't know anything about Zen or things that the Chinese or Indians do as part of their religion, but one of the girls from the party with the tattoo and belly button ring has been a Buddhist since July. She talks about very little else except maybe how expensive cigarettes are. I see her at lunch sometimes, smoking between Patrick and Sam. Her name is Mary Elizabeth. Mary Elizabeth told me that the thing about Zen is that it makes you connected to everything in the world. You are part of the trees and the grass and the dogs, things like that. She even explained how her tattoo symbolized this, but I can't remember how. So I guess Zen is a day like this, when you are part of the air and remember things. One thing I remember is that kids used to play a game. What you would do is you would take a football or something, and one person would have it, and all the other kids would try to tackle that kid. And then whoever got the ball next would run around with it, and the kids would try to tackle him. This could go on for hours. I never really understood the point of this game, but my brother loved it. He didn't like to run with the ball so much as he liked to tackle people. The kids called the game Smear the Queer. I didn't really think about what that means until now. Patrick told me the story about him and Brad, and now I understand why Patrick didn't get angry at Brad at the homecoming dance for dancing with a girl. When they were both juniors, Patrick and Brad were at a party together with the rest of the popular kids. Patrick used to be popular before Sam bought him some good music. Patrick and Brad both got pretty drunk at this party. Actually, Patrick said that Brad was pretending to be a lot drunker than he was. They were sitting in the basement with some girl named Heather, and when she left to go to the bathroom, Brad and Patrick were left alone. Patrick said it was uncomfortable and exciting for both of them. You're in Mr. Branahan's class, right? Have you ever gone to a Pink Floyd laser light show? Beer before liquor, never sicker. When they ran out of small talk, they just looked at each other, and they ended up fooling around right there in the basement. Patrick said it was like the weight of the whole world left both their shoulders. But Monday in school, Brad kept saying the same thing. Man, I was so wasted, I don't remember a thing. He said it to everyone who was at the party. He said it a few times to the same people. He even said it to Patrick. Nobody saw Patrick and Brad fool around, but Brad kept saying it anyway. That Friday there was another party, and this time Patrick and Brad got stoned, although Patrick said that Brad was pretending to be a lot more stoned than he really was. They ended up fooling around again, and Monday in school, Brad did the same thing. Man, I was so wasted, I don't remember a thing. This went on for 7 months. It got to a point where Brad was getting stoned or drunk before school. And it's not like he and Patrick were fooling around in school. They only fooled around at parties on Fridays. But Patrick said Brad couldn't even look at him. Hell, let alone speak with him. And it was hard too because Patrick really liked Brad. When summer came, Brad didn't have to worry about school or anything, so his drinking and smoking pot got a lot worse. There was a big party at Patrick and Sam's house with the less than popular crowd. Brad showed up, which caused quite a stir because he was a popular. But Patrick kept a secret as to why Brad came to the party. When most people left, Brad and Patrick went into Patrick's room. They had sex for the first time that night. I don't want to go into detail about it because it's pretty private stuff, but I will say that Brad assumed the role of the girl in terms of where you put things. I think that's pretty important to tell you. When they were finished, Brad started to cry really hard. He had been drinking a lot and getting really stoned. No matter what Patrick did, Brad kept crying. Brad wouldn't even let Patrick hold him, which seems rather sad because if I have sex with someone, I would want to hold them. Finally, Patrick just pulled up Brad's pants and said to him, "Just pretend you're passed out." Then Patrick got dressed and walked around the house to go into to go into the house from the party from a different direction than his bedroom. He was also crying pretty bad, and he decided that if anyone asked him, he would say his eyes were red from smoking pot. Finally, he shook himself out of it and walked into the main party room. He acted really drunk. He went to Sam. "Have you seen Brad?" Sam saw the look in Patrick's eyes. Then she spoke up to the party. "Has anyone seen Brad?" Nobody at the party had. So a few people went to search for him. They finally found him in Patrick's room asleep. Finally, Patrick called Brad's parents because he was really worried about him. He didn't tell them why, but he said that Brad was really sick at this party and needed to be taken home. Brad's parents did come, and Brad's father, along with some of the other boys, including Patrick, carried Brad to the car. Patrick doesn't know if Brad was really asleep or not at this point, but if he wasn't, he was acting and doing a really good job. Brad's parents sent him to a rehabilitation because Brad's father didn't want him to mess up his chance at a football scholarship. Patrick didn't see Brad for the rest of the summer. Brad's parents never did figure out why their son was getting stoned and drunk all the time. Neither did anybody else, except the people who knew. When the school year started, Brad avoided Patrick a lot. He never went to the same parties as Patrick or anything until a little over a month ago. That was the night he threw rocks at Patrick's window and told Patrick that nobody could know, and Patrick understood. They only see each other now at night on golf courses and at parties like Bob's, where the people are quiet and understand these things. I asked Patrick if he felt sad that he had to keep it a secret, and Patrick just said that he wasn't sad because at least Brad doesn't have to get drunk or stoned to make love. Love always, Charlie. November 8th, 1991. Dear friend, Bill gave me my first B in advanced English class for my paper on Peter Pan. To tell you the truth, I don't know what I did differently from the other papers. He told me that my sense of language is improving along with my sentence structure, and I think it's great that I could be improving on these things without noticing. By the way, Bill gives me A's on my report cards and letters to my parents. The grades on these papers are just between us. I've decided that maybe I want to write when I grow up. I just don't know what I would write. I thought about maybe writing for magazines so I could see an article that didn't say things like, "As blank wiped the honey mustard off her lips, she spoke about her third husband and the healing power of crystals." But honestly, I think I would be a very bad reporter because I can't imagine sitting across the table from a politician or a movie star and asking them questions. I think I'd probably just ask for their autograph for my mom or something. I'd probably get fired for doing this. So I thought about maybe writing for a newspaper instead because I could ask regular people questions. But my sister says that newspapers always lie. I don't know if this is true, so I'll have to see when I get older. I did start working for a fanzine called Punk Rocky. It's this Xerox magazine about punk rock and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't write for it, but I help out. Mary Elizabeth is in charge of it, just like she's in charge of the local Rocky Horror Picture Show showings. Mary Elizabeth is a very interesting person because she has a tattoo that symbolizes Buddhism and a belly button ring and wears her hair to make somebody mad. But when she's in charge of something, she acts like my dad when he comes home from a long day. She is a senior and she says that my sister is a tease and a snob. I told her not to say anything like that about my sister again. Of all the things I've done this year, I think I like the Rocky Horror Picture Show the best. Patrick and Sam took me to the theater to see it on Halloween night. It's really fun because all these kids dress up like the people in the movie and they act out the movie in front of the screen. Also, people shout at the movie on cue. I guess you probably already know this, but I thought I'd say it anyway in case you didn't. Patrick plays Frank Notfurter. Sam plays Janet. It is very hard to watch the movie because Sam walks around in her underwear when she plays Janet, and I'm really trying not to think of her that way, which is becoming increasingly difficult. To tell you the truth, I love Sam. It's not a movie kind of love either. I just look at her sometimes and I think she's the prettiest and nicest person in the whole world. She's also very smart and fun. I wrote her a poem after I saw her in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I didn't show it to her because I was embarrassed. I would write it out for you, but I think that would be disrespectful to Sam. The thing is, Sam is now going out with a boy named Craig. Craig is older than my brother. I think he may even be 21 because he drinks red wine. Craig plays Rocky in the show. Patrick says that Craig is cut and hunky. I don't know where Patrick finds his expressions. But I guess that he's right. Craig is cut and hunky. He's also a very creative person. He's putting himself through the Art Institute here by being a male model for the JCPenney catalogs and things like that. He likes to take photographs, and I've seen a few of them, and they're very good. There's this one photograph of Sam that is just beautiful. I think it would be impossible to describe how beautiful it is, but I'll try. If you listen to the song Asleep, and you think about those pretty weather days that make you remember things, and you think about the prettiest eyes you've ever known, and you cry, and the person holds you back, I think you will see the photograph. I want to stop liking Craig. I want Sam to stop liking Craig. Now, I guess you maybe think that I'm jealous of him, but I'm not, honest. It's just that Craig doesn't really listen to her when she talks. I don't mean that he's a bad guy, because he's not. It's just that he always looks distracted. It's like he would take a photograph with Sam, and the photograph would be beautiful. And he would think that the reason the photograph was beautiful was because of how he took it. If I took it, I would know that the only reason it's beautiful is because of Sam. I think it's bad when a boy looks at a girl and thinks that the way he sees her is better than the girl really is. And I think it's bad when the most honest way a boy can look at a girl is through a camera. It's very hard for me to see Sam feel better about herself just because an older boy sees her that way. I asked my sister about this, and she said that Sam has low self-esteem. My sister also said that Sam had a reputation when she was a sophomore. According to my sister, Sam used to be a blow queen. I hope you know what that means, because I don't think I can really think about Sam and describe that to you. I really am in love with Sam, and it hurts very much. I did ask my sister about the boy at the dance. She wouldn't talk about it until I promised that I wouldn't tell anybody, even Bill. So I promised. She said that she has been seeing this boy secretly since Dad said she couldn't. She says she thinks about him when he's not there. She says they're going to get married after they both finish college and he finishes law school. She told me not to worry because he hasn't hit her since that night. And she said not to worry because he won't hit her again. She really didn't say any more than that, although she kept talking. It was nice sitting with my sister that night because she almost never likes to talk to me. I was surprised that she told me as much as she did, but I guess since that she's keeping a secret, she can't tell anybody. And I guess she was just dying to tell somebody. But as much as she told me not to, I do worry about her. She is my sister after all. Love always, Charlie. November 12th, 1991. Dear friend, I love Twinkies. And the reason I'm saying this is, well, because we're supposed to think of reasons to live. In science class, Mr. A told us about an experiment where they got this rat or mouse, and they put this rat or mouse on one side of the cage. On the other side of the cage, they put a little piece of food, and this rat or mouse would walk over to the food and eat. Then they would put the rat or mouse back on the original side, and this time they put electricity all through the floor where the rat or mouse would have to walk to get the piece of food. They did this for a while, and the rat or mouse stopped going to get the food at a certain amount of voltage. Then they repeated the experiment, but they replaced the food with something that gave the rat or mouse intense pleasure. I don't know what it is that gave them intense pleasure, but I'm guessing it's some kind of rat or mouse nip. Anyway, what the scientists found was that the rat or mouse would put up with a lot more voltage for the pleasure, even more than for the food. I don't know the significance to this, but I find it very interesting. Love always, Charlie.